What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. It's great to be here with all of you today. It is 4:33 p.m. here on the East Coast, the 27th here of May in 2021. And boy, do we have a lot to go over with all of you today. As always, you're alongside my co-host, Gavin Tony. Gavin, welcome back to the show. All dripped out in the Sixers gear. Yes, they took the win last night. We are up 2-0 on the Washington Wizards as they travel down south to Washington for Game 3 on Saturday. Gavin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Zach, and I just realized something. Saturday we had a graduation party for you, and your mom handed me a cookie of your face, and she told me to bring it on the show. Sir, I forgot to bring it up here, but if we're on tomorrow, I'm totally gonna do it. I'm gonna do what she asked. But all in all, Zach, it's been a great weekend of basketball. No game I want to say this year has been underperforming. It's all been close. I like it, and every game twos have kind of been blowouts, except for a couple. But Zach, I'm explaining. I'm happy. It's our last day coming up tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's crazy to be here. How you doing?
That it is. Look, summer's almost upon us again. We're getting very close to 1 year of doing this show. We started in June of last year. It is the end of May right now. I'm excited. We have a lot coming up. More importantly, it's playoff basketball. Before we do get started with that, though, we'll have to touch base, of course, on my favorite sport, of course, golf. The PGA Championship on Sunday. Yesterday, they picked up on the next week of tournament is the Charles Schwab Challenge in Texas, I believe. But last week, Kiowa Island, one of the toughest courses, 50-year-old Phil Mickelson came out, pulled off the win, had the lead all day Sunday, played it like a boss, took the victory, and now has the oldest person to win a major in PGA golf history. It was incredible. We got a rivalry between Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau out of the weekend. It was a fun weekend for golf. I got to be honest with you. It was a really fun weekend. I'm excited, and the PGA has some life to it, I got to say.
Not really fun for me, Zach, as I'm 0-2 with my Dustin Johnson pick, so I guess I got to go back to the drawing board to pick somebody else. I mean, that's what I get for bandwagon to the number one golfer in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, don't listen to me when it comes to golf, especially when it comes to picking. I'm 0-2. What am I, the Masters in this one? Zach, come on, man.
Hey, look, the U.S. Open's in a few weeks. We're going to be able to cover that and more. It's coming up. I think we have two. Let me double check. We have two events before that. But look, U.S. Open every year. I'm a big fan of it. For everybody who knows it, pretty exciting event. You get everybody from across the country that comes in. A lot of people from the world do the Memorial Tournament next week, and then the U.S. Open June 17th to 20th. A little bit of a break between the Memorial Tournament and the U.S. Open. This week's kind of the last one before this major, but I'm excited. But that does create some room for NBA playoff basketball. Gavin, Washington Wizards, Philadelphia 76ers. Let's start with Sunday's game. Down early first quarter, down in the second quarter. Second half comes out. Seth Curry, Danny Green knocked down some threes respectively. They take the lead, ultimately win that game. What are some of your thoughts from game one of the series between the Wizards and the Sixers?
Game one was a pure Tobias Harris, I'm an all-star domination. And Zach, on his Sixers Instagram picture, I commented, he's an all-star, and emphasized it. And then I put it on my story. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, he came out and dropped 28 points in the first half. And let's be realistic, Zach, with Joel Embiid in foul trouble, Tobias Harris was the reason why we were kept in that game and ultimately came out to win that game. You also could look at Ben Simmons and career high in rebounds and assists. Can we stop the Ben Simmons slander? Can we really do it? I mean, Zach, he's doing everything else. I mean, I'm not going to complain if you're setting up people.
15 assists, 15 boards.
15 and 15 and
Great
6.
defense late.
Great defense of late and turn it on when needed. Zach, I had no problem with game one. Game two was lovely. And finally, Zach, my last takeaway of game one is how great George Hill came in and knocked down those clutch shots when we needed him to. And Matisse Thybulle with 2 blocks and 2 steals in game one. I mean, that's second team all defense right there, ladies and gentlemen.
And we argue with first team if he was a starter. Look, I agree. I think that game one was close. It made it look like it was going to be competitive, but at the end of the day, the depth shows up. Embiid, early fouls, caused some issues. You expected for game two he'd be able to play much more. We'll cover that in a minute. But yes, Tobias Harris, 37 points. How is he not an all-star? I couldn't tell you. I don't know how he was not an all-star this year.
Zach, I'll tell you why he's not an all-star, because there's a dude in New York that took his damn spot named Julius Randle, who on Sunday shot 6 of 26. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, pass the ball for once. The shot's not falling. How about you pass, Julius? more than New York Knicks fans in a minute, because Zach, I'm not happy with them today.
You'll get to that series in just a minute as David making headlines as well as Philly fans will cover that as well in just a minute. Game 2. Last night, Joel Embiid, 26 minutes, 22 points, led the team. No starter played the fourth quarter as they dominated and cruised past the Washington Wizards. Russell Westbrook getting injured in the third quarter. Did not play the rest of the game. Bradley Beal, 36 points. Maybe 2 or 4 in the fourth quarter, none of which were significant. Gavin, Game 2. Are the Sixers destined to sweep in this series?
Zach, I would say so. If when you get a Ben Simmons that's dropped 22, 9, and 8, and then you get Joel Embiid that did the same thing, and you get Tobias at 19, that's your 3 superstars right there contributing for almost half majority of the team's points. You look at the bench, Furkan gave you 13. I like Maxi's actually playing, and he gave you 10. Dwight grabbed 11 rebounds. Look at that. The Wizards just don't have it. They just don't have it. I mean, you got 33 from Bradley Beal again. Didn't have it. Russell Westbrook's been shooting terrible this whole series, regardless of the incident that happened that we're going to get into. Rui Hachimura, he's all right, but they just don't have it. Bertans, they spent $80 million on Zach. $80 million to 0 points in 23 minutes and fouling out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're giving out $80 million to scrub, where's my money? Because I'm guaranteed I can give you more than 0 points, Zach. I mean, the league is soft. I mean, like I told our statistic teacher, the league is so soft. A person like me can go in there and average 30 points per game, and we'll see what else I can do after that. But Zach, the Wizards just don't have it. They don't have the right pieces around their 2 superstars, and Russell Westbrook is not shooting the ball at all this is. I mean, let's go back to last night. He was 2 of 10 from the field, 0 for 3 on threes. And then if you go back to game 1 in the series, did the same thing basically again. He almost had a near triple-double, but Zach, it's just not enough. His shooting is what's killing the team. And I don't want to say it's all Russell Westbrook because, like I said, the supporting cast is not there. But the Brody is on kind of part of the blame.
Same pattern as always. Just not an efficient player, in my opinion. And I've spoken out against Russell Westbrook quite a lot. But let's focus on another matter. Of course, if you haven't heard by now, a fan who was removed from the stadium and has since had his season tickets revoked and banned from the Wells Fargo Center spilled popcorn onto Russell Westbrook as he was going to the locker room following an injury. I don't know. It's disrespectful.
You were there. You saw it. You saw that happen. You were
disrespectful to the player. It is, the player's got to be protected. I don't see an issue here. I'm not defending the guy who spilled popcorn. It was popcorn. Let's be real here. You need to be more professional, Russell Westbrook. Today, I'm pointing fingers at both people. Number one, a fan should not do that. And I'm glad that he was very quickly, by the Sixers organization at the Wells Fargo Center, was reprimanded. But Russell Westbrook, what were you going to do, man? You're going to climb up there and fight this fan? You got to do better. Everybody's got to do better. I don't blame Russell Westbrook for getting mad. But what was he going to do? I mean, please. It's popcorn. It's disrespectful. It's disheartening to the game. Westbrook, honestly, at the end of the day, is a pretty good guy. Let's be honest here. He's a good guy. Doesn't get the credit he deserves sometimes.
Excuse me.
But what you going to do, man? You're a millionaire. This guy's going to be real here unless I hear otherwise. We all as fans, as relative to these guys, are nobodies. And that's no disrespect to anybody. We're all created equal. But come on, Russ. What are you going to do? You're going to beat this guy up? Oh, he wouldn't do it in the streets. Of course he wouldn't do it in the streets. He wouldn't be mad at you if you weren't on the other team causing issues. What are you going to do, Russ? You're going to get there and beat him up? That's pathetic by everybody involved. And, again, it starts with focusing on the main issue, which is the fact that popcorn was spilled on him. It's popcorn. It's not something dangerous. It's not going to kill you. Be professional. Russell Westbrook, you are better than that. And you know you are. We know you are. To the fan and Philly fans altogether, you also are better. It is possible to be mad at both sides for different reasons. But again, as a Philly fan myself, especially one who was there, I condemn this behavior. I don't like that it takes our entire reputation. And on top of all of that, the final part of it, Russell Westbrook, you should also be better.
Zach, I disagree with you 100%. Here's why. I'm not mad at Russell Westbrook, not at all. It's a respect factor, ladies and gentlemen. Just because you paid a price in admission to go watch the game of basketball, especially at its highest level being played, that's a privilege that can be taken away for everybody. One, Zach, you ever heard that saying, one person can ruin it all for everybody else. It's like, what if the NBA would have came down and said, all right, no more fans for the Sixers in this series at least, or no more fans for the rest of the place for everybody else. Because like, not only did that happen, I know we're gonna get into the New York Knicks series after this, but it's like in 2 nights you had 2 incidents with fans. One was more disgusting than the other one, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But Zach, I'm not mad at Russell Westbrook because it's about respect. Russell Westbrook is a human being at the end of the day. Yes, Zach is not a beverage. Yes, Zach, I know he wasn't gonna go in there and fight the stands, but damn it, Russell Westbrook at the end of the day, when the jersey comes off, he is another human being in America, just like you and I are. He is a person. He is a family man. You just don't do that. Now, to this fan, to this idiot, Zach, you talk about what is he gonna do? Go up there and fight him in the stands? Zach, if that was me, and I wouldn't care what had happened, and I would go up there and see it on language, everybody, I would go up there and beat his ass for that. Because you just don't do that. You just don't do it, Zach. I mean, how would you feel if someone were to throw a popcorn on you because you're beating me in golf? I mean, you just don't do it. Even though the Sixers were winning, but you just don't do it. And the fact of the matter is, now if this was an accident, like the person was eating popcorn and he dropped it back, exactly, that's the problem I had. It wasn't an accident, and the fact of the matter is that you went out your way, you reached over a couple of seats, you went out your way just to do it. Now I see why Russell Westbrook's mad. Russell Westbrook, I'm not mad at you. Lose your cool with us. I don't care, because that doesn't represent all of us. And kudos to the Sixers fans that pointed that idiot out of the stands. But the one thing I will say is the fact of the matter is that you're blowing up the media, and I blame ESPN for this as well. You're blowing up the wrong situation. Yes, Zach, this is a serious situation. You got to protect the players' health. Yes, maybe I might have overreacted when I said I would fight him, but there was an incident that deserves more attention than this one. And right now we're blowing up this idiot. This guy deserves no attention. This guy deserves to be in the front of every newspaper to show how much of an idiot he is. And that dude in New York that deserves a lot of attention too for being an idiot. And Zach, I hate this, because for a person like me who hasn't been to a Sixers game in, I want to say, in almost 3 years now, it's upsetting. It's upsetting to see this, because that's a privilege, everybody. Especially coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah, taken away last year. We didn't have it last year.
Exactly. We saw what it was last year not having it, and the fact that people are acting like idiots with it back now. Why? You're about to ruin it for everybody. You're really about to ruin it for everybody. But Zach, it's not this guy that I'm really upset about. Yes, don't do that. But ladies and gentlemen, this New York next one is really upsetting to me.
Yeah, just a closing statement. Look, I agree in every way that what happened was disrespectful, no matter what the contents was that was spilled. At the end of the day, I agree with everything on that. To lose your cool when you're in that kind of position, and he's made himself a target over the years. I don't really know why. But he talks to the fans. And I watched last night courtside. He's standing there talking to fans or taking pictures of them. He instigates a lot of it. I don't know why he does, to play victim. I don't know. Just because you're a good man doesn't mean that you can't fall victim to sometimes doing some of these things maliciously. At the end of the day, the fan was wrong and disrespectful. Russ was held back, fortunately, by some of the staff. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened. But Westbrook, in my opinion, has no right to go up there and confront the fan. I don't think he has a right to do that. You are an entertainer. You are an entertainer to the fans. Allow the people who are supposed to reprimand that fan. You do you, and you keep your calm.
But at the end of the day, Zach, he is still a person.
I understand that, but there are people who have his back. And the Wells Fargo Center and the entire city of Philadelphia arguably had his back last week.
Sometimes it is a manhood thing. It's a personal pride thing. You have to stick up for yourself. It looks weak that someone else has to do it. Yes, Zach, I get the position he's in.
Yes, but an NBA player should not be beating up a fan.
No, we're not talking about malice.
If the Wells Fargo Center did nothing, then Russell Westbrook should be sounding off today. But this fan will never be walking to the Wells Fargo Center again.
Oh no, he shouldn't be banned. He shouldn't be allowed any of it. Look, throwing popcorn, I get it banned for a year, but this Zach, we gotta go to New York. This one's really burning me up.
We'll get to that, of course. The more significant information in New York. I never loved New York fans. I mean, we're Philly fans, so we're supposed to clash with them. But coming up after this, Trae Young falling victim to another situation involving a fan. This one a little more severe than the popcorn. We'll get to that and break it all down after this.
We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public, We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode.
We know how New York fans are. It's kind of obvious. Madison Square Garden's been rocking as of late. Knicks Hawks. It's a good series so far. The Hawks take game 1. Fans chirp. Game 2, the Knicks win. A fan spits on Trae Young. Gavin, I'm going to allow you to kind of kick it off and let your frustrations be known. This is another game where fan interactions have gotten out of hand. Gavin, I'll hand it off to you.
Who the hell are you to spit on somebody? Let's say, really, who the hell are you to spit on somebody? That's something you don't do. All right, you don't spill nobody. That's discipline of ultimate disrespect, and I'm actually mad. I'm really mad because not only did this fan spit on Trae Young, he spit over somebody else, which is also a sign of disrespect too. Zach, the person he spit over was 50 Cent, and I don't know if you know who 50 Cent is, but 50 Cent is not a person you want to be playing around with, especially with disrespect. Man was shot 9 times and still survived, and is doing well. But spitting on somebody? I mean, damn, it's just a game. It's a game for all that matters. The fact of this is, when you go to a game and when you're sitting that close, it's a privilege because I didn't think the NBA was going to allow people to sit as close and to be breathing on people due to the fact of the pandemic. This is one of the sports that took action in the best way, which was they went to a bubble, they ended up going somewhere else and playing the games. They didn't have fans for the majority half of the season, and then they finally had fans, right, especially during playoff time, and you want to spit on somebody? This fan should be in jail, for crying out loud. Zach, we talk about popcorn versus spitting. I might have overreacted on the last one and saying, yeah, Russell Westbrook should have beat his ass, but this one, I'm all for it. Should have punched him in his face. You should have rocked him in his world. Him and Trae Young and 50 Cent should have rocked him in his world, for crying out loud. You don't spit on nobody, Zach. You don't spit on a common person. Spit on nobody. When someone spits on you, Zach, and the fact that I don't think Trae Young even knew that's what it was or felt it, he didn't make a little motion, Zach. When someone spits on you, I don't care what your profession is. I don't care what you're doing. You gotta whoop them up. You gotta beat them up, Zach. I don't promote violence, ladies and gentlemen. I don't tolerate disrespect, and I don't tolerate spitting on somebody. I really don't. And the epitome of that idiot being allowed to sit that close and doing that because you hate somebody because they beat your team. By the way, the mayor of New York needs to shut up and actually do what he's supposed to do and do his damn job. And Stephen, I'm gonna let you have this moment. But this is why I hate New York Knicks. This is why I hate them. Their fans don't know how to act. They win one game and we want Brooklyn. No, you don't, idiots. No, you don't. Julius Randle, can you make a buck in the first half? And you guys lose the first game. Trae Young, and shout out to Trae Young because he's been dishing it back, and they're giving it to him, but he's been dishing it back too. He said, "I'm gonna see y'all bleeps in the A." Exactly. I'm all for the Atlanta Hawks now. I wanted the New York Knicks to go because I knew it was gonna be easier for the Sixers. But after last night, I hope that fan goes to jail for a long time. I hope he gets banned from MSGU, and I hope the New York Knicks go to Atlanta and lose, and Trae Young comes back and hits a dagger in New York. What are they gonna do about that? You just don't do that, Zach. You don't spit on nobody. Your parents teach you that when you were young. And if someone spits on you, ladies and gentlemen, if you sit there and take it, you are a chump. Now, Trae Young, I don't know if you noticed that, but I'm pretty sure Trae Young realized what it was. Do you really think Trae Young was going to sit there and take that? No. Ladies and gentlemen, if I'm going to emphasize again, Zach, I'm going to hand it to you. If someone spits on you and you allow it, you are a chump, and they're basically calling you just as great as the ground because that's what you're supposed to. You spit on the ground and everything. You're not ground. You're a human being. Zach, if someone were to spit on me, I swear, Zach, I don't know what I'd do. Someone's going to bail me out. I promise you that. And I'm the most peaceful person everybody knows, but I swear, I don't know. I'll be in jail. You're going to bail me out, sir.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation because the players have to be protected. It's the same thing as the previous one, of course, a little bit more to a degree of certainty over popcorn. But I like the series so far. Let's talk about that more. Again, 2 different games. Hawks win the first one, Knicks win the second one. And now we're going, as Trae Young says, to the A, Atlanta, Georgia, for Game 3. Gavin, this series between the Knicks and the Hawks, Who are you taking? Who do you really think is going to win this series?
I got the Hawks. I got the Hawks in the series because they can space the floor and shoot threes. They can knock down the shots. The New York Knicks are not a great three-point shooting team. All right, Derrick Rose has been phenomenal off the bench, and honestly, Zach, he needs to start. He had 26 last night, and I want to say 20-something in the first game. Forgive me, but
they're averaging more points, 7.3 points more per game with Derrick Rose since before they acquired him and after they acquired him.
And the defense of the New York Knicks is the reason why the Atlanta Hawks lost that game last night. Zach, they were shooting 43% to start the game, and then the New York Knicks defense kicked in full effect. After halftime, they were down 13 at halftime, and they went to Hawks from shooting 43% to 26%. Zach, it's all about being able to make your shots. The New York Knicks are not a great three-point shooting team. They're not going to beat you by three. It's like they're get out the mud team. I don't think that happens, especially in the A. The environment's going to be wild, and they're not well-liked down there, the New York Knicks.
Yeah, this is a rivalry in the making if both teams can stay good. But I am going to go with the Knicks. I think their next win is 7. I think they go back to the Garden, back to the A, and then again back to the Garden. I think that this is going to be a great series. Whoever wins it will be tired against what we presume to be Philadelphia 76ers. But I like the Hawks. I do like a lot of their young pieces, but I do like the Knicks defense and coaching just a little bit more. And they're starting to find their groove a little bit. But it's going to take 7 games. It can go either way. But Madison Square Garden, Game 7, I got to take the Knicks. But yes, Gavin, I agree with you on that. Knicks fans, you just won your first game in 8+ years. Don't mess it up. Don't screw it up by being stupid. It's one win. Welcome to the club.
Welcome, Zach. The Phillies, no, not the Phillies, because they've still been bad. The Sixers were bad the last time the Knicks was in the playoffs. Well, we all were in the playoffs. Then the Sixers got good before the Knicks got good again. Zach, New York Knicks fans are idiots. And they don't deserve anything, Zach. If they were to go home and lose for the rest of the year and be depressed, I'll be happy that would bring absolute joy to me because you don't do that to anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who may know me, I don't take disrespect really well. I don't take it lightly. I take that in serious. That's what's wrong with this country is respect. And obviously we see it in sports, and it's sad.
Without a doubt, now let's wrap up the Eastern Conference: Milwaukee Bucks, Miami Heat, and then of course Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets. 2 series that look to be pretty well in control. I expect the Bucks to make a win tonight, take a 3-0 lead. Miami just doesn't look like the same as they did last year. And then with Brooklyn and Boston doesn't stand a chance. Brooklyn's been playing insane in their first 2 games.
Zach, if you go back to you go back to Saturday, when we were watching the Milwaukee Bucks game, and it looked like the Heat were going to make it an interesting series. Chris Middleton hits a game-winning step back. Ultimate Chris Middleton's kind of been a hero of this series so far, him and Drew Holiday and Giannis in Game 2. But Game 2 was not close at all. Zach, the Heat got blown out. They got outscored miserably. Haven't saw that. When you look at the Miami Heat, they just don't have it this year. Jimmy Butler, where you at? That's their fearless leader. That's their sole survivor. He's not here. He looks gassed, in my opinion, Zach. And Tyler Hero's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, short offseason for them, tough turnaround for them. But interesting, the final Brooklyn Nets and Boston Celtics, Gavin. Again, Nets have just been dominant. The Celtics just look lifeless out there.
Zach, it wasn't the big 3 that did in Game 2. It was actually Joe Harris. Joe Harris had 15 points in the first quarter off threes, and then the big 3 kicked it up in the second half like they always did. Even in Game 1, the version of Brooklyn we saw the other night, where Joe Harris was the one beating the Celtics, the lifeless Celtics. That's a team that the Sixers can beat. It's not going to be every day where the big 3 shots are falling. It's how quickly can you build a lead before they get going. Zach, the Celtics are over. They're done. I think Brad Stevens has to go.
Yes, that would be an interesting conversation for Boston after this season. Will Brad Stevens stay? I don't know. A lot of injuries this year for them, but still 7 seed seems to be unacceptable for a team with that much talent. Coming up after this, the Western Conference, Memphis, shocking in Game 1. Did they get the reality check in Game 2? And finally, why are the Clippers down 2-0 to the Mavericks? And then, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers, Phoenix Suns.
LeBron at his finest. We'll talk about it. Go ahead, Zay.
And then the Trailblazers and the Nuggets wrapping that up. Stay tuned.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this.
Let's talk about it. Los Angeles. Two different stories. One leaves, one comes home. Let's start with the Clippers. You're down 2-0 to the Dallas Mavericks after being embarrassed by the Denver Nuggets on national TV last year. Paul George, once again, nowhere to be found. Kawhi Leonard doing the best he can. Isn't enough. Gavin, what are your thoughts? This is my favorite. Before you go, this is my favorite, by the way, to go to the Western to win the Western Conference is the Clippers.
I know it wasn't. It was still the Lakers about us. But no, Zach, look, when it all jokes aside, when it comes to this series, Luka Doncic has actually been giving it to him, the Clippers handily. The first game he had a 31-point triple-double. He yelled in Patrick Beverley's face, "You're too bleeping small." Zach, and this is a guy in Patrick Beverley who's known for getting in players' heads, who's known for playing great perimeter defense. All these guys are known for playing great perimeter defense. They just don't have it. I mean, in game one, Paul George had 23, 6 and 5. Kawhi had 26, 10 and 5, but they lost by 10 points. Nobody outside of that. I mean, yeah, Beverly, Batum, and Rondo, they all had respectively in double-digit points. But outside of that, nobody else. Now, if you go to game two, what happened in game two, Zach? Luka and his energy and his magic. 39 for Luka Doncic, 28 for Tim Hardaway, and Kristaps Porzingis. Zach, that was the difference makers. KCP, or no, excuse me, KP. Wrong, Kristaps. But Zach, Kristaps Porzingis last year, if he doesn't get hurt, I think the Milwaukee, wrong team. But the Mavericks go on to win that series, or go on to take the Clippers at least further games. The Clippers don't have it. They're lost. They're a team that's playing one-on-one basketball. They don't have a plan. I thought bringing Rajon Rondo was going to help this team. Space support, create, make plays. It's not doing that. It's doing the opposite. It's making it worse. It's like the Clippers lost Montrezl Harrell, and they lost a few other pieces.
They lost Lou Williams in that trade.
They lost Lou Williams in that trade.
Both of your great six men.
And now who do you have coming off your bench giving you points? Last night, or the other night, it was Reggie Jackson with 15, Kawhi with 41, and Paul George with 28. I mean, Paul George is showing up, but why can't the two perimeter defense and Paul George corner do something about Luka Doncic? Why can't they do it? I mean, he's shooting threes off one leg for crying out loud. I mean, Zach, I mean, this is must-see TV. And I'm going to limit and say this. If the Dallas Mavericks win, which is I would think it's tonight, Zach, at home versus the Clippers, ladies and gentlemen, there's a problem in LA.
I mean, look, they're back in Dallas. It's quite possible, but yeah, we'll continue to cover that as that develops. They play tomorrow, actually, at 9:30 in Dallas as they lead 2-0. Now let's talk about the next major series here. Nuggets Trailblazers series tied 1-1. They're in Portland. I'm going to take Portland tonight, but this is a good series. This has the potential to go to 7.
Jack, this was a good series 2 years ago when it went to 7 games, and that ended up being a Portland win. If Jokic Nurkic could play better, this series wouldn't be close. Zach, we know he has the potential to play better, but he's not. He's underperforming. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum and Carmelo Anthony and Simmons, the guy that won the the dunk contest, they're carrying the team right now. Zach, I'm rolling with you tonight. I got Portland. No way Nikola Jokic gets it done again.
And our second to last one, the 1 seed and the 8 seed. Memphis Grizzlies took advantage of no Donovan Mitchell. They beat the Jazz in game 1. Last night, John Morant, 47 points was not enough as the Utah Jazz took care of business, over 140 points for them. Gavin, are the Jazz destined to finish off this series at 5?
No, they're not. Zach, you're going back to Memphis. And the Grizzlies protect home court very well. I think the Grizzlies get another game here. Ultimately, they might get game 4 or game 3, but it's going to be 2-2. This series is going to 6, ladies and gentlemen. John Morant is a dog. Jaren Jackson is a dog. All right, Dylan Brooks, we've seen what he could do. If they can formulate, they can just steal another game. It's like they did what they're supposed to do, and they stole game 1 in Utah. They got Donovan Mitchell back. Zach, I'm not a firm believer in Donovan Mitchell, but is Memphis going to win the series? No, but they will get another game. I believe that.
And we'll see possibly tomorrow night in Memphis, the final game.
LaFleur.
Los Angeles Lakers.
Disney.
Staples Center, 10 o'clock tonight. Give me the Lakers. Jump to a 2-1 lead with or without Chris Paul. It doesn't matter. I'll take the Lakers tonight. Anthony Davis finding his rhythm finally. LeBron James also reversing his age as they get ready for the playoffs. Phoenix Suns are going to put up a great fight, but I will take the Lakers in a close one tonight, 109-104.
Chris Paul, I sent you a DM and everything. I asked you to just be healthy and just get a win, man. Get a win. It's like I'm rolling with the Suns tonight. Here's why. Devin Booker is playing phenomenal. DeAndre Ayton, who was a question mark out of the whole entire team, is playing phenomenal. Jay Crowder is doing the best he can. Not doing so well shooting the ball, Zach, in this series. But when it comes to defense, Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder were doing an excellent job, especially in game 1. Here's my problem I had. The refs need to stop calling the damn fouls on the Lakers, on the Suns, and stop giving the Lakers the free throws. I mean, Zach, let's be realistic. LeBron James jumps over Chris Paul, and supposedly Chris Paul yanks him to the ground. It's like I watched the replay 50,000 times. I still don't see it. And your best friend, LaFleur, hurt his shoulder. All right. Why was Cameron Payne, who had an excellent game 2, ejected in game 1 when Montrezl Harrell was the aggressor? Right? That doesn't make sense. Both of them should be gone. Anthony Davis kicks Jay Crowder in the groin at all places. A flagrant 1. Zach, that looked intentional. We know Anthony Davis' jump shot does not have a kick in it. He should have been ejected the other night. Chris Paul has to be healthy in order for the Suns to win the series. Zach, don't count the Suns out. I really have the Suns winning in 7 or 6 games. The Lakers aren't healthy. And no matter how much you want to throw year 18 or year 29 or year 30 in my face and how much you want to throw, but Zach, the Lakers just don't have it this year. They really don't.
They were good the other night. Tonight, we'll see what kind of Lakers team we're going to get. We get the Lakers team from game 1 or the Lakers team from game 2. That's the question. I'm starting to roll with the Lakers tonight. With that being said, the Philadelphia Phillies pulled off a win today. Not much discussion there. They've been kind of falling off the face of the earth. But, hey, 2 games back in first place, tied for second place. We'll see what they can pull off as some of the guys get healthier. With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it. Gavin, anything else you wanted to cover?
Yeah, real quick, Zach. Tuesday was 1 year since Mr. George Floyd was killed. So I just want to take time to acknowledge that and where we are. Zach, when that happened, it was a dark time in the country when the pandemic was still in full swing. And everybody was forced to watch the videos. Like I still, to this day, cannot watch the full 8 minutes of the video. It's still horrifying, but it sparked a conversation that was needed that we have amongst all Americans, not just minorities, not just African Americans, but all America. And I want to say from this point on, we heard some conversations back and forth. We actually and the conversation continues. There's still some people that refuse to acknowledge what's going on. We had a big voter turnout in history, and it starts in the community, also starts at the top, Zach. But it's still a long road. It was a nice major step in the right direction with the conviction of the cop killer. But it was a major step in a long journey ahead. And we had to acknowledge that one person does not solve, the others, the Freddie Grays, the Breonna Taylors, all those guys. But in the world of George Floyd's daughter, Daddy done changed the world. You're right. You're right. He did. And we're going to continue to work forward. I remember on Tuesday that the NBA was pushing for the George Floyd Act, Policing Act, which is now in the Senate. And guys, for those who may or may not know, I'm not really a politic guy. Like I can care two ways about it. But this is huge. We need something like this. We need better policing. We need better training. We need it. But I just had to take time to acknowledge that.
Yeah, for sure. Look, you and I had a talk off the air. That was one of many conversations the two of us have had both on and off the air. And look, you know me, starts local, starts with the conversation. Look how far we've come. Bottom line, and we've said this before, we are not done yet. We've a long way to go, but we can take a minute to look back at what we've seen, the tragedy, unfortunately, how the family was affected, how everybody was affected, involved. Uh, this is going to be written in the history books. This is one of the most known tragedies to happen. Let's make sure that even though we didn't want this tragedy to happen, we take advantage of the opportunity to change the world and avoid this to happen again in the future. Because that's, at the end of the day, what's important for our young communities, specifically those in the minority communities who have watched this and wonder what could happen to them. We don't want that to happen to anybody. You want to change that notion that everybody has a right in this country to do what they can, do what they want, and be able to live freely without any concerns, and just to be treated equally. Even if you get a little disrespect from someone, if people are short with you, let them be short with everybody, black, white, whatever. If you're be respectful to everybody. At the end of the day, that's what matters. That's the message we've spread on this show. Numerous times we sat behind this camera and have thrown sports out the window for that day, and we're going to continue to do that in the future. And I'm sure that we will continue to approach the conversation, and continue to move forward.
And all those people that were marching and sometimes that were rioting and protesting, they now, ladies and gentlemen, the protests had great intentions. Some things got out of hands that we acknowledge. We call bullshit strikes. Things got out of hand, but there's also a lot of upset people. But look at the people. Look at the great turnout. Look at the amazing one. Look at all the people that were there. They weren't just minorities. They were white people. They were everybody. Everybody was in the same fight. Those group of people, the turnout was amazing, and this is the major turning point that we need. The conversation continues. Zach, as we say, it starts with talk. It starts to change. Zach, we came on the air, and it's not easy to have one of those uncomfortable conversations because you could have a hate comment automatically send it, but we do anyway, and you have to have the talk, ladies and gentlemen. Spread positivity around the world, and the words of Ellen DeGeneres, spread love to everybody around the world. Zach, that's what we do every day. We talk sports. We yell. I yell at LeBron James. You yell about how terrible he is too. It's great, but Zach, that's what unite through sports, man. That's what we always say. And
I agree. I agree with that one. Absolutely. That's why we take time to do this. We started the show almost a year ago. There were no sports going on. Today it's a little different, but we still can't forget what the core message is, and that's how I'm going to sign off today. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Hope you all enjoy your evenings, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Have a good night, everybody. Let's go, Suns! Come on, I need it.
The Lakers, late show.
I need it. I need Suns. Come on, let's get it.
Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts